Often the first and most daunting gauntlet to pass in the careers of an emergency telecommunicator is that of the interview. Most people struggle with being poised and collected under normal circumstances for a job. Adding on the weight of knowing how critical the job is to people's life and safety, and that they are frequently conducted in secured facilities, only heightens the stressor. Today, we are going to discuss some things that we look for in our prospective new hires, and the things that we avoid like the plague. This is LifeLine. Hello, and welcome back to another episode of LifeLine 911 with your host, Erica.
Hello.
I'm your co-host, Gary, and today we are discussing emergency dispatch interview panel prep. So it's a topic I think that a lot of people kind of get concerned for, because going in to talk to a bunch of people, especially if they're in uniforms, can be an intimidating and daunting task. But we're here to tell you, even schlubs like us made it through it one time, right?
This is very, very true. Very true. Yep.
So with the interview panel, you're going in and you've usually already passed your background check, your medical, your psych eval. This is sort of one of the last or nearly last components to actually receiving the job. And they're going to be looking for, key things while they interview you. Are you calm? Are you cool, collected? Do you have a neuron that fires between these 2 points of your head? And
Really, Gary? That's what we're looking for?
sometimes, and especially now is a good time to kind of join the profession, because there is such, after COVID, there was such a dearth of operators. So a lot of places are hiring more than usual, and we're always hiring. So if you're interested in a career, now's a good time to start.
Agreed. I've never known us not to be hiring. Have you ever known us not to be hiring?
It's been few and far between.
It lasts
Usually,
about 2 weeks.
yep, because you'll either hit the summer vacation, like the summertime where people will dip out, or a lot
Yeah.
of times it's the holidays because people are like, I didn't sign up to work nights, weekends, and holidays. And we're like, but you did.
You was
And they'll,
serious about that? Makes me think about that. I'm telling you, it makes me, every time, it makes me think about that movie. Um, oh, what
you
is it?
was serious about that?
Yeah,
What
you was
movie?
serious about that? What is it? My Cousin Vinny.
Yep, yep.
When the judge is getting on Vinny about the outfit that he has on, and his, I don't know, his suit was in the cleaners and it got into the mud and all of that. And literally, you was serious about that? People
Yeah.
say that to us and it just blows our mind. I call it the exodus. It's always a mass exodus. It's either the summer exodus or the winter exodus. I do not know what that is.
hmm I'm
Don't know.
just people used to a particular type of work-life balance that they get in maybe other jobs that's not available in this particular profession. So when the rubber meets the road, they're like, I can't, this isn't what I want to do. And
I'm
kudos to
out.
them. Yeah,
I'm out.
kudos to them for leaving and being like, this is not for me, because I'd much rather have that than someone.
That sounds
uh,
so funny when you say that. Kudos to them for leaving.
Kudos to you quitters. Good job.
No, but
But
you're
for those,
right. It can be overwhelming. It can be it's nerve-wracking. Interviewing is not easy anyway. I don't care what kind of job you're interviewing for. And like you said, you since you don't know what to expect, especially if you've never even seen the inside of a 911 call center, your mind already conjures up, you know, an idea of how serious you think it's going to be.
mhm.
And you have to, really rock them, knock them, sock them dead in this interview. And this may not sound like the thing to say, but the truth is, I think that you should be yourself. I think you should be exactly who you are, be honest in your answers. And when we say panel, it all that really means is there's more than one person asking the questions.
Mhm. Yeah, absolutely be yourself because, as they say, everybody else is taken. And
That's a good one.
in regards to the panel, there's a different. It could be an array of things. So a lot of times you'll have civilian people on the panel, maybe somebody from HR. There was somebody I know who, when they went in to interview for their job to be a dispatcher, their panel consisted of the chief of police, the second person in that chain of command, and the third person in that chain of command. All three
Mm-hmm.
the top ranking cops in the area. And so this was somebody who previously had not had a lot of interaction with police, so that can be very nerve wracking. And,
Yeah.
well, while usually that's going to be smaller agencies these days that'll have, the sheriff or chief of police or chief of the fire department
Mm-hmm.
doing the interviews, you're still going to have a panel of people, but hopefully all of those people are at least tangentially familiar with what it is to be a emergency operator and have some idea of what they're looking for. And they're gonna want you to succeed if you can show and demonstrate that you have a need to help others, because ultimately that's what's going to keep you in the profession when bad things happen, is that want and that drive to help others, I think.
Agreed. And, you know, I can't stress enough the best advice that I can give you is practice. Practice answering questions. No, you won't know what kinds of questions that they're going to ask you or the actual questions, but you can get a sense because you're going to interview in an environment where problem solving is going to be something that you're going to encounter a lot of. And you encounter it in other jobs. Yes, that's true. But the rapid fire, quick fire way that we do it is it that's going to be present. But practice answering questions about problem solving and talk about what you know. So when you get a question, I'm just going to pull one out of the air. Tell us about a time when you disagreed with your boss. Don't say you never disagreed with your boss. You know why
No.
why they ask a question like that? First of all, I want to know, are you going to sit here in front of this panel and lie to my face that you agreed with every decision, every memo, every guideline that was ever handed down by your management, no matter what job? And if you say that you've agreed with every single one of them, if I'm on the panel, I'm looking at you a little, I'm giving you side eye, whether I'm actually giving it to you or not. The inside of me is giving you side eye because that doesn't speak, that doesn't say honesty to me. I'm looking for a
Right.
few things when I ask that question. One, will you be honest and say that you didn't always agree? I'm also looking to hear, are you going to tell me, one, that you didn't always agree? But what I really want to know is, even if you didn't agree, did you still do what they said?
Because
How did you go about, and did you speak up if you didn't agree? And if you did, how did you do that? How did you go about saying, I'll do what you said, but maybe we should think this through a little more? How did you go about that? I'm looking for a few different things in a question like that. So that's what I mean by be honest and practice answering tough questions.
yeah, because ultimately what they're looking for is, how do you process issues that come up? And if you're incapable of even making an attempt at answering an interview question, that would concern me a lot, to
Hmm.
your ability to handle an emergency call where somebody's calling and they're being shot, they've been stabbed, they're being sexually assaulted. They, how would you deal with that situation?
Hmm. Yeah. And you're 100% right. Well, on the panel, we don't expect for you to be a 911 operator. We're going to train you. We're going to prepare you. We're going to help you develop your listening and interview skills. And by interview, I mean interviewing people over the phone, because that's ultimately what you're doing as the first responder. You are the first person on scene. So the interview that you conduct over the phone is the very first one that ever happens. We're going to train you for that. But what I want to know is, will you even make an attempt at processing the information that we're giving you or information that's being told to you? Or when you have to answer a tough question, will you be honest about it? It gauges a few different things.
Hmm.
So
Absolutely.
honesty is key, and give it a shot. And you know what? I take that back. I said the best thing you can do is be honest. No, that's the second thing. Answer the whole question.
Yes. And you may get a question that you've never experienced before, especially if you're younger. You might not
Hmm.
have come across a situation where you've seen a coworker who's stealing, for example.
Yeah.
So if you have that kind of question and that's not something you've experienced, that's okay. But as Erica said, honestly answer the question. I haven't experienced that. And then also, as Erica said, complete the question. But if I did, I would then tell my boss that, hey, I noticed that such and such was, taken out of the till,
Hmm.
because we want to see how you process that. Or if you get asked a question about taking a 911 call and a person's been struck by a vehicle and they're laying in the road, what do you do as the call taker? Obviously, you're not going to know, well, then I will just open up our standard operating procedure rules to to page 47 and select the correct title code for this and then request assistance from the medical services. You're not going to know all that if this is your first time. Just say, I would send the police there because they're going to be needed for scene, you wouldn't even say scene security. I would
Yeah.
send the police there, and I'm going to try and get some medical people out there too. I don't know how to do that, but that's what I would be trying to do, because we want to see that you're thinking through these scenarios, because
Yes.
you're going to go through training, but your training is not going to capture everything that you will experience while you take 911 calls. And we
Yeah.
need to know that you're comfortable with making a decision and working your
Hmm.
way through those calls that you have never been trained on before.
Yeah. And if you are a younger person, like say this is your very first job, right? You're fresh out of high school and you just hit the age requirement for whatever entity, whether it be EMS or police. I think police is probably a little older. It just depends on where you are. But let's just say this is the first job and you're going for a 911 operator job. And they ask you a question, like Gary said, about like an integrity question. Tell us about a time when you witnessed someone, you know, stealing from the company. Well, it would not be a wrong for you to say, well, this would be my, if hired, this would be my very first job, but I have been in school and I have experienced an opportunity where I saw a student do X, Y, and Z that was against the school rules or against the, you know, code of ethics, if you will, in that environment. Speak to that. Talk about what you know, because it is relevant. It still gives us insight into your character and your even personal ethics and what it kind of would let me in if you ended up turning that student in, or saying, hey, I went to that person and I said, you really should not do XYZ. That tells me something about the kind of employee you may potentially be. I can't strive or stress enough. Don't make things up. If you don't have an example, don't make one up. Do like Gary said. I've not experienced that, but I do have something that's comparable. And I hope that that answers your question. You can do that.
Uh, or if you have that example where you saw somebody steal and you didn't say anything, you can say that too, and then say, and as I've gotten older and reflected on that, I realized I should have done that, and that was the wrong
Yes,
thing to not do. Because,
absolutely.
nobody's really a perfect person that's going to be on either side of that interview panel, and people
Agreed.
make mistakes and they learn. But are you learning and getting better? You can
Yeah,
demonstrate that with these questions. Even if you have no work experience, or if you have a ton
yeah,
of work experience, you're probably going to have uh, both good and bad examples to pull from.
sure. And I think, obviously don't say, well, as a former thief myself. I can't. Yeah, don't do that.
As a
Don't.
famous cat burglar, let me tell you.
Even if even if you are reformed, if there's no record of it, you don't talk about it. Okay? Don't. No. I said be honest, and I would like for you to be honest, but I would like for you also not to sabotage yourself, especially if it was something that happened when you were 10 years old and you stole the candy bar out of the convenience store when your mom and dad weren't looking. Leave that in the past.
Uh,
And that may sound like I'm joking, but I'm serious. But Gary's right. It is okay to admit that you didn't always make the right choice, but you should frame it in a way that shows that you grew from that experience, or that you learned that that wasn't the way to go, or that you could have done better, and say what you could have done better and why. So having a conversation is really all an interview is. I mean, it is in the form of answer question, question answer, but ultimately they're just trying to gain some insight into the type of employee you may potentially be, not whether or not you will excel at the job. Different testings that we have in play will give us the answer to whether or not you have an aptitude for the job, your typing skills, your ability to read a map, whether or not you can take down, numbers really fast or not fast enough. We have things for that. Only your answers are going to give us insight into the person that you are, because ultimately we are hiring the whole individual. We're hiring a whole person and not just a set of skills. So relax as much as you can and try to just be yourself. I really can't say that enough.
yeah, because all of the skills, like the typing speeds or the knowledge to of what policies and protocols and procedures to follow, those are all things we can teach you and we will teach you.
Mm-hmm.
But your innate character, who you are as a person, that's really what I'm curious about.
Yeah.
I want to make sure that you're a good person, because we don't want people that are of have moral turpitude to serve the law. We want people that are doing the right thing
Yeah.
most of the time. Nobody's
Yes.
perfect.
Nope.
So don't be afraid and nervous about it, because it's also, I always tell people when they go in for an interview, when they're asking me, "Hey, can you help me for this?" I'll run them through an interview panel, like I'll pretend to be the panel and ask them questions. And then I always tell them, think about it kind of like a date almost. Because, yes, you're going in there because you want the job, but the panel is there too because they want an employee. So
Mm-hmm.
you're both bringing something to the table to see if this relationship can work.
Yeah.
And know your worth, even if you're just starting out. If you have a real positive attitude and you believe in justice and law and order, that's great. We want that. We want happy people. Like I think about the employees that we have that are just genuinely nice, happy people, and those, they're great. They really, really help the culture of the center, and that's something that can't be
Yes.
taught.
It's true. They elevate the atmosphere when they come in. They bring something to the table besides just their skill set, and they're great people. I could tick off two or three of them right now that are just, they're a joy to work with. Even when things, when all hell is breaking loose, that they're just not going to bring their darkness like some people do. But if you are an aspiring public servant, public safety professional, lead with that also. If
Mm-hmm.
all you have is someone says, "Well, why do you want to do this?" Because if you watched Chips way back in the day, that's you're probably too young. So let me go. Let me see. Any of the 911 shows, and you just thought that either Grace or Maddie were just had to be two of the most awesomeness people you have ever seen, and you're like, I want to do that, and tick off all the reasons why it impressed you. I'll take it.
Mm-hmm.
I'd much rather you say that than I just need a paycheck.
Yeah. Although, if you're doing it just for the paycheck, again, I appreciate the honesty. I can work with that too. Then you
I
won't
can
get
work
any
with that.
you won't get any speeches from me that are lofty and, oh, we are preserving the fabric of society. No, it's just going to be do your job, you get your damn paycheck.
And that might be all there is, and that's
And that,
okay. I
and that's
don't know
okay.
that I would say it quite like that. I would,
Yeah,
again, practice,
church
you
it up a
know.
bit.
Yeah. Copilot, Gemini. There's gotta be a way that either one of those can help you. Google Assistant, um, just type that in and then see if they can give you an answer back that you can practice for.
I, I
It's
also,
really important that you just bring yourself to the interview. Don't bring a representative, okay?
well said, well said. Also, with this type of interview, as with any type of interview, the basics are key. Show up
Mm-hmm.
early in case you run into traffic, have a flat tire, anything. Show up early. Beyond
Yeah.
that, punctuality really key.
Yes.
Dress for the interview. Comb your hair, get a haircut, wear a nice suit or skirt or dress or whatever. You look presentable.
Yes.
Put your best self forward
Yes.
because
Now,
you.
that,
Yep. Go ahead.
that's not to say that you. I've seen The Pursuit of Happiness, which is that movie that Will Smith was in, where this guy was just down on his luck and he just could not get a break, and he um, made it into a he made it into an interview for a what is it, a prestigious, I don't know, Wall Street esque type training program, and the whole while he was sleeping on the streets and all of that. And at one point, for I think what must have been like the final interview, he ended up going in his street clothes, and he told this, the music starts playing. You know how they do in the movies. The music starts playing in the background, and the camera comes in real tight, and he just gives this impassioned speech about what all went wrong, and they ended up giving them the job anyway. That most likely will not happen if you come in dressed any way. Just, what Gary's really trying to say is dress for the job you want. If you believe that being a 911 operator and a public servant and first responder, whether they call you that in your state or not, if that's what you're looking for, if that's what you want to be a part of, dress like you mean to have it when you go to the interview.
That shows that you really want it. If
Mm-hmm.
you're willing to take a little bit of extra effort to look nice for it. And
Mm-hmm.
most departments won't require you to wear a suit or a dress every day. Usually you can get away with polos or even less in some departments.
Mm-hmm.
But at least that first initial time it's saying, "Hey, I want to be here. I'm ready to go. This is me at my best."
Yeah.
And they should be also being respectful of your time as well.
Sure.
So just again, those are some tips for any sort of interview you want, but especially
Mm-hmm.
in a organization like a 911 center, you're going to want to make sure that you're on time because that's important. It's not like any other industry where if you're 5 or 10 minutes late to your accounting job, you can make it up by staying 5 or 10 minutes late, or maybe not even need to worry about making it up. Being on time
Very
is
true.
is critical, and that's one of the biggest issues that we have with employees is timeliness.
Yeah. Yeah. And because your career moving forward, starting with the interview, there are other people most likely that are going to be interviewing after you. And the panel has allotted a certain amount of time for each interview and time to wrap it up and get ready for the next one. So just think of it as a relay. You don't want to be the reason that the next leg of the relay has to start after the fact. And when you get the job, and we hope you do get the job, just know that 9 guesses out of 10, unless you're a one seat PSAP, which I doubt, you will be relieving someone else. And someone else will relieve you, and you don't get to go home until they show up. You don't want it to be late. You'd much rather it be early, if at all. And if it's allowed, you might get to slide out of there 5 minutes early. But nobody likes to be relieved late. When it's time to go home, they want to go home. And that
Yeah.
principle begins with the interview. And if you can show and get it wrapped around in your head that you're interviewing with an entity that is very time sensitive. Everything we do has a time stamp on it, from how long it takes you to answer the phone call, to take the call, wrap it up, dispatch it, whatever it is, everything we do has a time stamp on it. So be mindful of that and get your head wrapped around it early.
hmm I would also say, if you can, and most agencies allow this, you can go in and observe at.
I was going to say that same thing.
Yeah.
Good job, Gary.
Thank you very much. You
Yeah.
can go and observe at the call center,
Hmm.
taking 911 call. You wouldn't take them, but you can listen to them, watching dispatchers, that kind of thing, to get a sense of, not only is this something that you're going to want to do, is this something that you would feel fulfilled in doing?
Hmm.
Because it can be really, it can be really tough. It can be really lonely, but it can also be really exciting and fun and fulfill a sense of purpose. It's just
Sure.
in it's just in who you are. And if that's who you are, great. Please go do it. We need more of you. If that's not who you are, don't put yourself through that struggle.
And it's okay too. It
Yeah.
really, really is. No, all jokes aside, it really is okay. And, as long as you can pass whatever their required background is for that, which is often less, uh, to go and observe with your local PSAP than it would be for the job interview, right? Because that's just a surface level. We just make sure there are no active warrants for your arrest for murder or anything like that. Um, they're really looking very surface level for the most part. But then when you go to actually do the application, that's when they start, digging deeper. But to spend even a couple of hours, doesn't matter what time of the day or night, if they allow it, absolutely go sit in. That's how the bug bit me. A
Mm-hmm.
neighbor made a comment that he thought that he saw something. I still to this day don't know what he saw, and I can't ask him because he's gone on to heaven. But he saw something, and he suggested that I come and listen in. And I messed around and went and listened in. I think it was like a Friday or a Saturday night. I ain't been the same since. 25 years later, the bug is still biting me, and I still love it. And I cannot imagine doing anything else. But that's what solidified it for me. I was intrigued when he mentioned it. But once I sat down and spent a couple of hours watching these people do what they do, it was a wrap for me. But we've
Yeah.
also had people come in and say, I thought this was not what I thought. I do not think that I can do this. And we said, you know what? Thank you so much for your time. Thank you for your honesty. And yeah, it was nice knowing you. I mean, and that's not, I'm not even being flip. It's just true. It's perfectly okay. But one of the best ways to determine, or not determine, but to kind of get a sense if you might truly want to take the next 3 months or so out of your life in this process would be to spend a couple of hours or even an hour at your local PSAP. Reach out to your police department and not don't call 911. Find out what the non-emergency number is. Most likely
Mm-hmm.
it's going to be your public information office or something like that. Call them and say, I would like to come in and observe at 911. Say that. Don't call 911 for that because and if you do, don't tell them your real name if you do that.
And certainly
Because,
don't tell them
right?
we told you to call.
Yeah, don't tell them. Yeah, don't mention LifeLine 911 at Gmail. Don't, no, none of those things. Forget that. No, sir, all jokes aside, yeah. Your non emergency number to your local PSAP, you're a citizen until you're an employee. So as long as you can pass their requirements to come and listen in, that's your local PSAP. So go check it out.
Mm-hmm. And you can also get a chance to talk with people that may be one day your coworkers, and
True.
they can give you some information on a slice of life. They might say, hey, it's going
Mm-hmm.
to sound pretty easy to when they ask you, can you work nights, weekends, holidays, and mandatory? And you're going to just say yes, but really think about that question. Or they might tell you like it's it's a lot of fun because you never know what you're going to get in the day. You can really
Mm-hmm.
get a much more in-depth feel for that than you ever would from, say, watching a Hollywood TV show, as much as maybe some of the people on this program like watching those, than you would from actually talking to your actual 911 operators, dispatchers, EMTs, firefighters.
Those are my guilty pleasure. I love them. They're
Hmm.
so fun to watch. And when they get it right, I'm like, what? They okay. Go ahead, 911. You nailed that one. All right. And then when they do the absolute ridiculous, I go, so many things. So many things. I just laugh because it's entertainment.
Hmm. But like we've had light duty officers come in to work the 911 phones,
Hmm.
and they'll put on the headset, and after an hour they're like, I can't do this. This is too much for me. Uh,
Yeah.
there, so it takes a certain type of person,
Yeah.
and if you feel like you might be that person, give it a shot. Worst
Yeah.
they can say is no, unless you have an active warrant, then you might get arrested.
A little bit. Yeah, they'll say, come on in. And then, cuff them and stuff them, like they say on the Boss Hog and the Dukes of Hazzard. Okay.
Book 'em,
I'm
Dano.
dating myself. Seriously. Oh my God. Okay.
But I think that that's all we have for you today. If you've been considering a career in law enforcement, perhaps taking the steps to be a 911 operator or dispatcher would be a good move for you, as it requires a little bit different personality than some of the other jobs you might find out there. And if you're intrigued, please do contact your local police department or firefighters or EMTs to learn more about it.
Yep. If you have any more questions about it or you just want to pick our brains a little more, you can email us or drop a comment below.
Mm-hmm.
Lifeline911podcast@gmail.com.
Yes.
We'll
And
answer.
from all and from all of us at Lifeline 911, I'm Gary,
America.
and we will see you next week.
Thank you for watching. If you have any questions about today's topic or topics you'd like to cover in the future, please reach out to us at lifeline911podcast@gmail.com. This has been a production of Lifeline 911, copyright 2026. Until next time, this is Lifeline 911 signing off.